You walk into a room full of people and feel like you're watching through glass. They're laughing at jokes that aren't funny, discussing things that don't matter, playing social games you never learned the rules to. And you smile, you nod, you perform the script, but inside, there's this constant hum of wrongness. Like you're the only person awake in a room full of sleepwalkers. And here's what should awaken you. This feeling isn't a defect. It's a signal. Carl Jung spent decades studying people who felt fundamentally different from those around them. What he discovered destroys the comfortable lie that feeling alienated means something's wrong with you. He found that certain individuals, through temperament, experience, or psychological depth, develop what he called consciousness, while most remain in what he termed unconscious identification with the collective. You're not broken because you can't connect with surface conversations. You're not damaged because small talk feels like psychological violence. You're not defective because most people exhaust you while solitude restores you. You're misaligned with a society designed for the unconscious masses. The people who shaped history, the philosophers, artists, revolutionaries, all shared this fundamental alienation. Not because they were superior, but because they refused to surrender their consciousness to collective comfort. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why you feel different, what it means, and how to stop treating your depth as a disease that needs curing. Jung wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." What did he mean? In his psychiatric practice, he witnessed brilliant, sensitive individuals destroying themselves trying to fit into social structures designed for psychological simplicity. They mistook their inability to engage with superficiality as personal failure, when it was actually evidence of depth incompatible with shallow waters. Today, this dynamic has weaponized itself through social media, algorithmic connection, and a culture that mistakes performance for presence. You're told to put yourself out there, to be more social, to stop overthinking, as if your consciousness is the problem rather than the unconsciousness surrounding you. Watch what happens in any group setting. People bond over shared complaints, gossip, entertainment consumption, and status performance. They form connections through mutual participation in distraction. When someone tries to discuss something real, mortality, meaning, the absurdity of modern existence, the conversation dies. Awkward silence. Nervous laughter. Subject change. Not because the topic is inappropriate, because consciousness makes the unconscious profoundly uncomfortable. Have you noticed this? That moment when you realize you can't be yourself around most people? When authenticity creates distance instead of connection. This is the first mechanism. Pay close attention. You're trying to connect at levels that don't exist in most people. People operate at different psychological depths. This isn't judgment, it's observable reality. Schopenhauer observed, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." In his time, he watched individuals compress their inner complexity to fit social acceptability. They learned to hide curiosity, suppress questions, and perform normalcy. But today, this compression is total. Social media rewards the performance of personality, not the depth of person. Conversation has become content. Authenticity has become aesthetic. Everything real has been flattened into shareable fragments. Think about your last attempt at genuine connection. You started talking about something that actually mattered to you, an idea you've been wrestling with, a question that keeps you awake, a pattern you've noticed in how people live. And you watch them glaze over. Not because they're stupid, but because they've never developed the capacity for that depth of engagement. Here's what Schopenhauer understood that most people miss. Depth isn't distributed equally. Some people live their entire lives in the shallows, and they're perfectly content there. Your attempts to connect deeply with shallow people aren't failing because you're doing it wrong. They're failing because the depth you're trying to reach doesn't exist. This is why you feel different. Not because something's wrong with you, because you're fishing for depth in puddles. And the exhaustion you feel isn't antisocial behavior. It's the cost of constantly translating yourself into a language most people don't speak. Awareness doesn't free you. It isolates you. There's a belief that waking up leads to connection. This is romanticism. Consciousness separates, Nietzsche wrote, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. He understood that once you see patterns others don't, the performance of social life, the arbitrary nature of cultural values, the mechanisms of collective delusion, you can't unsee them. And you can't pretend you don't see them without fragmenting yourself. Today, this manifests everywhere. You're in a conversation about politics, and you see both sides performing tribal scripts neither has examined. You're at work watching people compete for promotions in systems that don't matter. You're scrolling social media observing mass psychological manipulation presented as connection. And you can't participate authentically because participation requires pretending you don't see the game. It requires you to believe the emperor is wearing clothes when you clearly see he's naked. Here's what Nietzsche knew: the more conscious you become, the more alone you become. Not because you're superior, but because you're operating with different data. You hear music others don't, and they think you're crazy for dancing. This is why being yourself fails. Because most social bonds are formed through shared unconsciousness, agreed upon fictions that make reality manageable. Your consciousness disrupts those fictions. The isolation you feel isn't pathology. It's the natural consequence of seeing clearly in a world that prefers comfortable blindness. The more real you are, the more alone you become. Here's the cruel irony. Vulnerability is preached everywhere but punished in practice. Jung observed, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. In his therapeutic work, he witnessed that genuine meeting, true contact between authentic selves, is rare and dangerous. Because real meeting demands transformation. It threatens the false identities people have constructed. But modern culture sells the opposite narrative. Just be yourself and you'll find your people. Authenticity attracts authentic people. This is a profitable lie. Watch what actually happens when you show up authentically. When you admit you don't know what you're doing. When you express genuine doubt, fear, or complexity. When you refuse to perform certainty you don't feel. Most people retreat. Not consciously. They don't think, this person is too real for me. They just feel uncomfortable, unsafe. The conversation ends. The friendship fades. The connection dies. Here's what Jung understood that destroys the self-help narrative. Most people don't want authentic connection. They want familiar comfort. And authenticity is inherently unfamiliar. It demands they question themselves, change, grow. Your realness triggers their falseness. Your depth reminds them of their shallowness. Your consciousness reveals their unconsciousness. This is why you feel different. You're authentic in a world built on performance. And performance always outnumbers presence. But here's where Jung's wisdom becomes truly powerful, where understanding transforms into strategic clarity. Everything I've described is operating unconsciously in most people. They feel vaguely dissatisfied, chronically lonely, spiritually empty, but they don't understand why. They think the solution is more connection, better relationships, finding their people. You now see the mechanisms, and conscious awareness changes everything. Your difference isn't a bug, it's a feature. While others waste energy trying to fit in, you can invest in going deeper. While they chase quantity of connection, you can cultivate quality of solitude. While they fragment themselves to be liked by many, you can remain whole for the few who can actually meet you there. Jung didn't just study these patterns, he lived them. His entire psychological framework emerged from his own profound alienation and refusal to normalize himself into acceptability. Here's your strategic advantage. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to understand yourself. You don't need to connect with the masses. You need to find the rare others who've also chosen consciousness over comfort. While they perform for approval, you'll build for meaning. While they chase belonging, you'll create sovereignty. While they fear being different, you'll weaponize it. This isn't isolation, it's selective connection at depths that actually matter. Remember that room full of people from the beginning? The glass wall between you and them? Here's how you see it now. That wall isn't imprisonment. It's protection. It's keeping you from dissolving into collective unconsciousness. It's preserving the consciousness you've worked to develop. Jung's final wisdom. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. He spent his life showing that individuation, becoming your actual self rather than the collective's projection, requires separating from the herd. Not because the herd is evil, but because the herd is unconscious. And unconsciousness is contagious. Here's the truth that brings peace. You will always feel different. This will never change. You cannot sand down your edges enough to fit, cannot dumb yourself down enough to connect with those who live on the surface. You can only accept it. And in that acceptance, you find freedom. Freedom to stop apologizing for your depth. Freedom to stop translating yourself into digestible fragments. Freedom to let shallow people remain shallow without taking it personally. This week, notice when you're performing normalcy. When you're hiding your actual thoughts to avoid making others uncomfortable. Don't change the behavior yet, just notice it. Consciousness precedes choice. Write in the comments, "I'm choosing depth over belonging." Jung understood that the people who change the world are never fully at home in it. Your alienation isn't the problem. Your refusal to honor it is. Accept the difference, embrace the depth, and finally stop treating your consciousness as a curse.